Yo, 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 what's good, YouTube? What's good? It's STORMYBMAN, and I am back welcoming you to Nerds on Culture. This is volume number 16, and we're going to talk about this evening Japanese action shows, such as what you see on the screen before you right now, the Super Ultraman family, where we ran into these characters originally from the 1960s, like around circa 1965, 66, and they have run extensively over the years ever since. And we'll talk about other shows and characters from the same ilk. Japan introduced these characters and they became cult classics, and some of them have been remade and reimagined for modern and present day. Some even taken on where they have films based on these characters. So we're going to talk about that a little bit this evening. Allow me to welcome my co-host of the show in here this evening. We got Drew Titan in the building. What's going on, man?
Chilling, man. I'm excited for this one. You know, I'm a big old nerd. I love
Yeah.
giant robots and shit. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Oh yeah, man. That's it's something about the machines, right? And
Mm-hmm.
us. And when I say us, I'm talking about us guys. We just always have had a connection there. I remember they even mixed it into a Godzilla film
Mm-hmm.
where I think it was, and correct me if I'm wrong, because there's so many Godzilla films, but if I'm correct on this, it may have been Godzilla versus the Smog Monster, maybe, where Jet Jaguar was
Yeah.
introduced. It was either that or Godzilla versus Megalon. It was one of those two. I think it was Megalon, I think. But Jet Jaguar, a Japanese type robot that was made and built by these characters in the film, and he adopted they installed a AI into him, and when Godzilla had this threat of these monsters that he couldn't defeat or whatever, Jet Jaguar's AI kicked in and
Yeah.
he turned into a giant robot and he was helping Godzilla
Man, I
fight the
remember
other
that.
bad monsters.
I haven't seen that
So,
in years.
man, we're talking about what, and actually, this is no lie. My mother took me to see that film. And if
Wow.
I'm not mistaken, it came out in like 1973 or 1974. But don't hold me to it because I would have to look it up to
Yeah,
see the exact date.
I didn't
But
see that until the 80s. It came
right,
on TV somewhere.
yeah,
But I remember
but
being fascinated by that.
and I love
Yeah.
the scene where Jet Jaguar grew into a giant because they showed him and he did this little thing like they
Yeah.
always do. The robots do with their hands, and then he started going
It just
ding, ding,
grew.
ding,
Yeah.
ding. He started growing, and these little speckles of light was coming out of him. Man, that was so cool.
Man. Memories, man. I remember,
Yeah.
you know what? That same film, I was, oh man, you know why I remember that film? It came on at the perfect time. I was home. It was a ton of snow on the ground, and I was sick.
Okay.
I was sick, and I was home just flicking channels, and boom! I said, "Oh, a Godzilla movie," and I had to been no more than maybe 13 years old by the time I saw that.
Okay.
And no,
And
I might have been younger than that. I might have been younger than that. I might have been about maybe 10, like 9 or 10. And I said, "Oh shit!" And I watched it, and I never seen it. I thought I saw every Godzilla film. I never
you know,
seen that.
you know what's interesting? For the Godzilla films, which are of the what they call it the kaiju, the giant
I do,
monsters.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, they weren't always released over here in sequence of how they were made. So it's like
Hmm.
sometimes a film, if it was really, really hitting, if it had hit good box office, and for some reason, Godzilla has always been great box office on an international scale. But when if it was really, really good box office, they would do the opposite of what you do with a popular movie. They would hold it back from a U.S. release, and sometimes the other films that may not have been as popular or whatever will get released and you'd be wondering, you hear about this one, you're like, well, I've never seen that one, because it was like the film Monster Zero, which was
Right.
a great Godzilla film where I think that's the original one where he fought the three-headed monster, Ghidorah, whatever its name.
King Ghidorah, yeah.
But it was released, excuse me, it was released a year or two later than it was originally, released worldwide. So it's kind of funny how that works. But yeah, man, I love these films. I love these TV shows. Yeah, excuse me. I feel like I got got a cough. But yeah, and I just thought that this would be a nice one, parlaying in. We came off of the toys last week,
Yeah.
and to go into these TV shows. Now, I did manage to pull up something from the wiki to talk about these type of films because they have a name for them, just like the giant monster films. These are called tokusatsu. Tokusatsu means it's a live action film or television drama that makes heavy use of practical special effects. So these type of shows and films fall under tokusatsu, and these films were often dealing with science fiction, fantasy, or horror. And television shows and films in this genre can sometimes count as tokusatsu as well. But most popular subgenres include kaiju, such as the Godzilla and Gamera series, superheroes such as Kamen Rider or Ultraman, and Metal Hero, and mecha like Giant Robot, Super Robot, Red Baron, and others. It's one of the most popular forms of Japanese entertainment, but only a small portion of these films and television programs are widely known outside of Japan.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, certain properties have attained popularity outside of Japan. Godzilla is featured in popular American-made movies, and the Super Sentai series was adapted into the Power Rangers series and broadcast internationally beginning in 1993. So that's a little bit of a history of how this particular genre is presented to audiences, and so many different things can fall under that because they have a ton of subgenres and everything. But tonight we're talking primarily about like the TV shows, and maybe we could talk about a film or two if we have enough time. But what was your introduction, Drew, to these type of television fare?
Man. Ooh. Maybe I was about 5 years old. Mazinga.
Mm-hmm.
Mazinga. Translated over here when the animation came out, they called him Transor Z. But by the time they didn't bring the cartoon over here. By the time, excuse me, by the time I was always fascinated with I didn't learn the name of it until later on. Japanimation. Always been a big fan. Speed Racer, very popular. Gigantor, remember him?
Yes.
So I've always been fascinated by that. And then Mazinga and Ray Dean, and then we realized that all the Godzilla movies, they were all in the same universe. You understand? And by the time the 80s came around, I was already familiar with Japanimation and the Godzilla movies and things of that nature. And by the time the 80s rolled around, two things happened in the 80s. There was a cartoon called Battle of the Planets. And we was fascinated because those heroes were different from the conventional American cartoons. They were doing things that were edgy. To us, it was very edgy.
Right.
And then I read later that even that it was edgy here, but it was toned down before they Americanized it. It was already toned down. Battle of the Planets, we know it here as G-Force.
Right.
Something happened in the 80s when I was in elementary school. Something came out called Voltron. And in that same year, something came out called GoBots, but GoBots got overshadowed by Transformers.
Mm-hmm.
And it was over from there. They hit so hard. Now, there was a Transformer called Jetfire. In the cartoon, he was called Skyfire, but he was called Jetfire. The reason why I'm pointing that one out, he was an airplane, but he was an Autobot. And I'm looking at the toy, and I'm like, that looks like another robot series from Japan called Gundam. Now, you know, Gundam has Gundam Wing, Gundam this, there's a bunch of Gundam stories out. And I forgot the licensing behind that, but that slipped through the cracks. And a lot of the kids didn't know because I was really big on Japanimation. So I would go to school and say, no, you got to turn y'all remember the knobs, the UHF channels on the bottom?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I said, you got to turn that and turn the channel 40 something or 20 something. And they were playing Gundam, but it was in Spanish. You understand? And they had two cartoons. It was Gundam, and then there was something called Captain Centel or something, and it was Japanimation, but everything was in Spanish. But I knew about Gundam, so I was exposed to that very early. By the time Transformers and Voltron came here, it took over. It was a craze. It was a craze. So I was exposed very, very early. Very early. I was like maybe 9 or 10 years old. Very early.
Yeah, it's a very interesting part. Excuse me. It's a very interesting part of our growing up in modern culture, because a lot of this stuff was introduced for the first time,
Right.
you know, and when something is new and you take to it, you like it, and you desire more of it, you almost have to wait on it being delivered to you. So it's like you gobble up as much of it that's available as possible, and that becomes your go-to thing until something new comes down the pipeline.
Right.
And we saw that a lot with stuff coming from the Far East, because, you know, for so many years the US was closed to the Far East.
Right.
So there was really a literal renaissance of culture sharing from the 70s on through to, I want to say, the late 80s, of culture from over there. And by the time, the 90s hit, a lot of us were either old enough to reflect back or still young enough to enjoy the newness of it. But as a total, we embraced it as a new thing. It's just like when the kung fu movies came, it's like that was a new thing, as opposed to watching the old sword and sandal films or the westerns and stuff like that. It became something new to grasp onto. But yeah, all of it was just an amazing experience, man. And as I had put, you know, what we got up for our backdrop there's different types of tokusatsu fantasy epics and television shows and films. And one of the ones I wanted to share with us is, like, we remember these guys, the
Oh,
Space
shoot.
Giants. And they featured some specially designed robots from another universe that were sent to protect the Earth from Rodak or Rodang, something like that. I can't remember his name because I haven't watched it in so long.
I haven't
But
seen this in forever.
but
I haven't seen this in forever.
the Space Giants were a robot family. It was a father, a mother, and a son, and it was Goldar, Silvar, and Gam. you know, and they could
Oh,
all turn into rocket ships and fly through the galaxy and stuff.
yeah.
It was so cool.
They set the tone for that, man.
I know, and
Yeah.
the villain who's depicted on this poster here, he looked like a version of like a space Dracula or something, because he
Yeah.
had these little fangs and
Yeah,
this
yeah,
curly
yeah.
wig on his head. It was tripped out. But I have a little clip here I want to share of it,
Oh,
man.
wow.
It's
Let's
like,
see it.
check this out, man. The space giants. Let's see here. Put this up here.
The Space Giants. Goldar, a 50-foot robot, and his electronic space family are created to defend our world.
He's going to attack the city now. What do we do, Miko? Hurry.
Oh, I haven't seen this in so long. Oh, shit.
Are you Rodak? I don't believe this. I didn't think anyone like you lived on Earth. My name is Goldar. Goldar? I am a robot created in another galaxy to prevent you from conquering Earth. You're going to fight me? That's right. The Earth belongs to Earthlings, and you have no right to possess it. Go back where you came from, Rodak. You are finished as of now, Goldar. You are an evil man, Rodak, but a very smart one.
Oh.
Use your intelligence. Isn't it enough that you conquered other planets in this galaxy? I want the Earth, and you shall not stop me. I will stop you, Rodak. We shall see. Go back, Rodak, before it's too late. Fire! Is that your only weapon? I have that and many more. Watch this, Rodak. You have won the first battle, Goldar, but you have not beaten me. Now I want the Earth more than ever. It is my duty to stop you, and if necessary, destroy you. Is that clear, Rodak? I accept the challenge, Goldar. It will be most enjoyable.
Kodak looked Dominican.
Goldar!
Ah, Gam and Miko. I'm glad to see that you are both safe.
I tried to get Rodak first, but I was not able to overcome power like that.
You did very well. But a boy your size should not take on too big a job.
I was only wishing that we could. Maybe it's a good idea Rodak knows I have a papa just like Earthlings. Isn't that right? Uh-huh.
I see my son likes the Earthlings. Well, at least the city is secure for now. We'll tell the people that they're safe.
Uh-huh. Let's go, Miko. Better hold on tight.
Look, a boy is sitting in that aircraft.
That's my boy, I tell you. It's Miko. Miko! Attention, ladies and gentlemen. This great city is now safe, and the gratitude of our people is evident, and everyone is very relieved.
Hey, Stormy. Stormy.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
When he landed on that beach, was you waiting for the Golden Harvest logo?
I told you he looked like some kind of space Dracula or something.
Yo, wait a minute. You ever wondered when these aliens come to destroy us, how do they speak English?
I don't know. It's a universal thing.
How the fuck they know English? Goddamn.
It's universal.
Oh man.
But man, again, this kind of stuff, man. We used to rush home from school to watch this stuff, man.
I haven't seen that. Got to be about 30 years, man.
Man, it's probably longer than that. For me, it's definitely longer than that. We're talking about like 40, 45 years because, I remember that stuff being on TV when I come home from school, 4 p.m., and which is 5 p.m. your time.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff will be playing on one of those UHF stations.
Yeah,
Here we had channel 60 and channel 66 that used to play those shows and stuff like that, man. Speed Racer, all that stuff will be coming on, man. It's just something about that. And I guess because it was from somewhere else. You know what I mean? It's like, that's that whole thing, the newness factor. See, it's not new anymore. The world has become such a smaller place with our social media, the internet, and simply a lot of immigration and things of that nature, because immigration was much more minimalized than we know it to be today. Countries weren't just willingly taking people in, and it's just, oh man. So when you put it all in its proper perspective, there's a reason why certain cultural shows and films like that, they stick close to our hearts, and that's, but yeah, I thought you would get a kick out of that one when I pulled that.
I ain't seen that in so long, man. I might have seen I haven't seen that many episodes. I might have seen maybe 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching it on the UHF statement. The UHF had the best stuff. They had gems on that stuff. I found they had a Hercules cartoon that came on after Speed Racer. That was there. I was like, man, all the best stuff was on UHF. With my fucking I had a black and white TV with in my bedroom, and it was I had a coat hanger for the damn antenna. Man, we were broke as hell.
Yeah. Now there's another character that had a show that I'd like to take you guys back to, and just think about this and meditate on this for a moment. You remember this cat?
Oh, stop it. Where are you finding these? I forgot all about this.
Man, let me tell you something, bro.
SpectreMan.
I pulled up something on him that I just want to read a little bit about him. SpectreMan is a tokusatsu science fiction superhero television series produced by P Productions and Krantz Films and was created by producer Soji Ushio. The series aired on Fuji TV in Japan on January 2nd, 1971 to March 25th, 1972, with a total of 63 episodes divided into 3 segments, not counting the pre-series pilot episode. This was the first major Japanese superhero show of the 70s. Yeah, and the plot of it was banished from the peaceful and highly advanced simian planet E in the Gashti solar system. The mutant mad scientist Dr. Gory and his brutish gorilla-like assistant Karas, who's also known as Ra in the Japanese version, search for a new world to rule after Gory's plot to conquer planet E had been foiled by its government. Traveling to Earth in their flying saucer, the blonde alien ape man is captivated by its beauty, but appalled by its inhabitants and misuse of its environments, leading to severe pollution, which was a huge topic back when this series was made, since Tokyo in Japan was most polluted city in the world at the time. So humankind must be quickly conquered if this planet is to remain habitable. Gory therefore plots, rather ironically, to use the pollution that is plaguing Earth to create horrible, giant, rampaging monsters to wipe out and or enslave humankind. Then it goes on to say, hope comes in the form of Nebula 71 star, an artificial satellite resembling twin planet Saturns joined together that observes Earth incognito. Fearing that Gory may eventually make Earth uninhabitable, they dispatch Spectre-Man, their super cyborg agent, to battle the menace of the Mad Ape Man. Spectre-Man disguises himself as a Japanese man named Joji Gamo to walk among the humans and scout out Gory's weekly menace for the Nebula Star. He works with a government-run group called Pollution G-Men, run by Chief Karada. This group investigates phenomena involving pollution, but they do not have the facilities to handle giant monsters. So unbeknownst to them, their comical yet mysterious teammate Joji disappears on them, only to help them as Spectre-Man. You know, this is so, you know, and it was written for the time, you know, because like we talk about the pollution factor, you know, Godzilla was born out of the atomic bomb being dropped on Japan in World War II. So it's
that's the historical. When they made these films, they were basically talking about their homegrown issues, and these monsters were created out of fear because you didn't know what was going to happen. You know what I mean? And this was them taking those lemons and making lemonade. This was their outlook. This was their outlet. You know what I'm saying? And they did a damn good job because I gotta imagine they made a lot of money off that.
And allow me to add this to what you were just saying. The world was a different place, and even our world leaders had a different mindset because at the end of the day, we knew the horrible atrocities of World War II, and even including the Vietnam War. But we still had a penchant for trying to take care of the world, but it seems like that's gone now. It really does, especially with world leaders that we have today who are basically just some of them a few years older than what I am presently and a few years older than what you are. And you could see their negligence and their disrespect for what's really important in life. And what's really important in life is to preserve life, preserve our land, preserve our world and our earth. And it's seemingly now, it's like you see some of these officials out here and they operate under this umbrella of acting so badass that they don't care if we kick off WW3, so be it. Or whatever. And it's like, it's that gung-ho mentality. It's like, really? Who are you? You understand?
They ain't going to war.
Many generations before you arrived on the scene found a way to survive and get it. And here you are out here trying to get rid of everything. It really is it's a horrible way to think and look at things, but it's a reality that we're living right now. Definitely. Salute to T-Bone Boxing out there in that super chat. He says, I thought I was Spectre-Man. I had the mask and suit. Right. Salute to T-Bone Boxing out there, man.
Don't Spectre-Man look like some kid that dressed up like a bootleg Iron Man for Halloween?
I know, right? Yeah, but wait a minute. Hold on. I got something for you guys on that, boy. Check this out.
Spectre-Man, Spectre-Man, in a flash, like a flame, faster than a plane, a mystery with a name, Spectre-Man, power from space, he'll save the human race, yet they'll never know the face of Spectre-Man.
another gem that I have not seen in God knows how long.
Dude, that song was hitting, wasn't it?
I'm gonna make it a ringtone. Spectre Man.
Dude,
Yo, why that ape look like one of the coaches at my gym back in the day?
man, that guitar riff on there, and you know I do the beats with Sugar, so I'm into music, right? It's like that song is hitting, man.
Oh,
Man. Fletch Kelman out there in the chat says, and this theme is wicked. You better believe it.
Oh man.
Man.
Oh, I haven't seen that in forever. That's another series. I recall it, but I can't recall specific episodes. But I remember sitting through those because I got older cousins.
Hey, man, listen, but see, I'll tell you guys, and it says that right now we got 10 people out there watching this, and that's great. But that's what this show is all about, man. It's for fun. It's to bring you back to your childhood, everything that you could remember that was something worth living for. And that's, as kids, this is what we live for. We're fun.
Not a care in the world, man.
F-U-N, fun, and this was, I mean, come on. The kids today, they don't even know what fun is. They run around, a lot of the young folks of today, they're so depressed and, that S word, that they don't want to go on and all of this. It's like, dude, we didn't have time to think like that. We were like channeled into stuff like this. And even some girls, they like this stuff too. So we're not excluding the girls, okay? Right. If you ladies that's out there, if y'all enjoy this stuff too, great. But it's what we're talking about, that what we embraced that kept us. I mean, man, like old boy said, he had the mask and the suit. It's like,
yo, man, we watched it and then we played it outside. There was nothing, man. We had a real childhood, man. There was nothing, no matter what we was doing on the Saturday. After we watched Spider-Man and the Hulk, we went outside, we played, we came back in the house, 3:00 p.m. in New York to watch the Shaw Brothers film from 3 to like maybe 5, and then we went back outside, and everyone wanted to be the Master Killer. Everyone wanted to be the 5 Deadly Venoms, man. Man, we had a real childhood, man. Come on now.
Hey, Drew, did you guys take like old mattresses and box springs and set them up somewhere where you can run, jump, and do flip-flops?
Oh, man, of course. Like yo, listen. How did I survive?
Hey, we're the Venoms,
Yeah. Jumping. Flying in the air, making a noise. Yo, how the hell did we survive the 70s and 80s? You know what I mean? You know how much shit, you know how many times I fell off equipment in the park? Banged my head, my neck started feeling numb, falling, cut, getting splinters, sucking it out and just keep playing. How did we survive?
Man, it was the most fun thing that we could do, man. The most fun thing that we could do, man. We enjoyed life.
Yeah, we
Salute
sure
to the
did.
boxing historian out there with a super chat says, yo, Stormy B and Drew Titan, look up Zone Fighter. And it looked like you cut off the rest of what you were trying to say. I don't know what, but I appreciate your donation, man. Hope you're enjoying the show. But listen, we got more, and there's something that I had in particular, one of my favorites, and I was talking to you about this before we went live. And I said that I was going to share, and that's this guy right here, man. Johnny Sokko and the Flying Robot.
That's it. That's it. That's it right there. That's it right there. Looking like an Egyptian king.
I know, right? And that had what designer chose that Egyptian head for him? I would like to know the story on that. Now, I did pull up the wiki that I didn't read completely on Giant Robot, but it says that Giant Robot, also known as Johnny Sokko and his Flying Robot in the United States, is a manga and tokusatsu series created by Mitsutaro Yokoyama. It is similar to Yokoyama's Tetsujin 28 Go, also known as Gigantor in the US.
Yeah.
But Giant Robot has more elements of fantasy. The original 26-episode tokusatsu TV series produced by Toei Company aired on NET, later named TV Asahi, from October 11th, 1967 to April 1st, 1968. And this show had a plot of Earth being invaded by an interstellar terrorist group called Big Fire, the Gargoyle Gang in the American version, led by Emperor Guillotine. Guillotine spent most of his time in a multicolored spaceship hidden at the bottom of Earth's ocean, which he issues his orders. The group has been capturing scientists to create an army of monsters to help conquer Earth. Everybody wants to conquer Earth. A boy named yeah, right.
It's a shithole.
A boy named Diasuku Kusama, also known as Johnny Sokko in the American version, and a young unicorn peacekeeping agent named Juru Minami, also known as Jerry Mono in the American version, are shipwrecked on an island after their ship is attacked by the sea monster, the Kolar, and subsequently captured by Big Fire. They flee onto an elevator leading to a complex where a pharaoh-like giant robot is being built by captive scientist Lucius Guardian, who gives Desaku and Juro its control device. Guardian helps them escape before he is shot to death. Elements of Captain America here. Before he dies, he triggers an atomic bomb which destroys the base. The radiation activates the robot, which now obeys only Daisaku. The boy is invited by Juro and his chief Azuma to join Unicorn and fight Big Fire with Giant Robot.
Man.
Dude. And see, you know, as an adult now, reading the plot of the show and everything, it's like, I didn't get all that from watching that. I just know that these monsters was coming. They was controlled by old boy, and Johnny Sokko and them had to go fight them. So it's like, right? It's like, it's that simple.
It's that simple. The plots, again, you know, on our version, you're not expecting an Academy Award, but this was I don't want to call it a fad, but this was a culture for them. And they opened up the floodgates because this was super popular.
Oh man, Johnny Sokko was like, if I were to say out of all of those TV shows, the three shows that were probably hitting the hardest were, I want to say, Speed Racer, this, and probably Ultraman. Those three were probably three of the strongest. That doesn't mean that they were the best. That doesn't mean that they were the most popular. But it was something about those three shows that when you look and you hear about them, you think it's like, wow. But check us out here, man.
Giant Robot, go!
I remember this. It's a floating eye.
Oh, I remember that episode when he fought the other robot.
Yo. He fucked him up. Oh, that's oh, he took him into space. It's over.
Yeah, he took him into space and flew him into an asteroid and destroyed himself and the villains.
Boom. Game over.
And so the saga comes to an end. Giant Robot sacrificed himself to save the Earth from the terrible guillotine. But who knows? When Johnny desperately needs him again, perhaps like a miracle, he will come back out of the sky.
You know what my cousin used to say? He said, man, this is bullshit. You know how you beat this? I said, how? He said, you take a rock and just throw it at that little motherfucker talking into the watch. He said, game over. Oh, man. That was so funny, man. That was so funny.
Yeah,
That
man.
is so funny, man.
These, you know, these shows were something else. And of course, you know, it wouldn't be complete without, you know, talking about, you know, Ultraman, you know, but there was also something else that squoze into this situation. And this is, I want to know if you know about this one, Drew, and chat, because this right here.
Oh, of course.
Dude,
Inframan.
The Shaw Brothers. The Shaw Brothers got in on the action,
I know about
man.
this.
The Shaw Brothers got in on the action. Can you believe it?
Hell yeah.
And what they brought was all right. You know what I mean?
Bro,
what they brought was all
what
right.
you're looking at right here, this was sparked off all this Power Ranger stuff later on.
Yep.
It came right here. And you know what? For a long time, I didn't know the name of this. But I again, I was at my aunt's house and we was up like 1 a.m, me and my cousins, and this came on TV and we were hooked. And we never knew. You know how you turn something on and it's already 20 minutes into it? Never knew the name of it. See, today we take advantage. We can go to a goddamn. To y'all youngins. There was something called a TV guide back in the day. You had to go find, and it was always downstairs by my grandmother chair. You better not move it because she'll fuck you up. But now you could just hit info on your remote and it'll come out. See, back then we didn't have that. So I never knew the name of it until I saw it maybe a decade and some change later. I said, oh, this was a thing. It was called Super Inframan. I didn't know the name for it for years, man.
Yeah, Super Inframan. Shaw Brothers doing their thing, tapping into these type of heroic show.
At last, science fiction creates the ultimate man, Inframan. And a motion picture creates the ultimate spectacle. Adventure beyond your wildest imagination with the man beyond bionics. 6 million light years beyond believability. Is he man or machine? Electronic circuits integrated with living cells in the living body of a man. Powered by nuclear energy. Inframan. You won't believe your eyes. You won't believe your ears. You won't believe your mind. Now, Joseph Brenner brings you the most advanced product of bionic science, towering above them all. Thunderbolt fists. Rocket feet. Can Inframan survive heat that melts rock? Cold that freezes fire? Is Inframan a match for men of steel? A motion picture that will stagger your imagination. Inframan, the ultimate in science fiction.
Wow.
Wow, man. That was playing up here on 42nd Street, the Grindhouse theaters. Oh, yeah.
And that wasn't too bad for Shaw Brothers, was it? They were right on par. Look, some of the effects is even better than the Japanese.
Yeah.
So, you know, what can you say, man? What can you say? I mean, you know, what's really interesting, and what I would like to say, Drew, before we go any further beyond where we are, is I like to come back with a part 2 follow-up on this, whether it's next week or within the next coming weeks, because we can get into some of those other characters that you mentioned, you know, and shows that you mentioned. Because, like, I don't want us to run beyond our hour time tonight, but this was a great lead in because, I mean, man, did you not feel something just going back down memory lane?
You know, it's like listening. It's like listening to your music show. Yeah. You hear some of these things, you think about the cookout. You think about when you stayed at relatives' house. You think about things like that. You think about what you was doing exactly, and what you was doing. You remember where you were and what you was doing when you watched this program, when you heard this song. That's why this show is so damn important, man. It's important to jog those memories, man. And that's where I get things like this from.
Activate interlock. Dynatherms connected. Infracells up. Mega thrusters are go. Go! Ultra force!
Absolutely.
It gets me
Absolutely,
every
man.
time. It gets me every time, man. Yeah, so I knew we couldn't cover everything in one show.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we definitely got to get back to this, man, because there's so many things. There are so many things. And a lot of people don't realize, see, in the 80s, I was a kid. I didn't know that all of this started in the 60s.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? My parents were in college somewhere when this stuff was coming out. You know what I'm saying? This is just like, this is great, man. And there's also things that there were series that only had like maybe 5 or 6 episodes. We might have forgotten about those things. I haven't spoken to Inframan in God knows how long. What else, man? We should talk about these were hidden gems, but by the time it hit American shores, they had a serious run through the 80s all the way up through the 90s, I believe. They had a good, like a strong decade run.
Mm-hmm.
And they led the charge in a lot of these things that we see now. Also, like, you know, what's the film? They got a series on Netflix now. Pacific Rim. Things like that come from things like this. You understand? Pacific Rim. They have a bootleg version on they have a bootleg version on Netflix called Atlantic Rim. I swear to God. It's called Atlantic Rim. I said, oh man, come on. Yeah, I watched it. It was so bad. It was so bad, but I watched it.
That's like they had a bootleg of and it's on Netflix or Amazon Prime or one of them. It's like they had a bootleg of Kong versus Godzilla, right?
Yes, I watched it.
It's like ape versus monster, or
ape
something.
versus lizard or something.
Yeah.
I watched it. Yo, man, look, when I had COVID, I was home for like 10 days. I locked myself in my bedroom and I watched every horrible movie sick in the bed. Like, oh man, that was great. That was great. Those B movies are just, oh man, that was just great, man. That was just great, man. But we gotta we did kind of go in order. These things was in the 60s and the 70s.
Yeah.
And we could go up to the 80s and through the 90s, and it's very important how because this is the Japanese thing, and they inspired Transformers, everything. They inspired a lot of the things that we watch now that's normal. It came from there, man. They inspired a whole genre. That giant robot thing, that is totally from Japan.
Right.
And you know, it's great, and especially with the CGI we got now. I was wondering what the hell's taking them so long to make a live action Voltron. I mean, not that CGI cartoon, like something for real. But I mean, come on, man. This damn, there's so many things I could think of. The video games and everything, man. Man, this is great. That's great. I like this topic. Yeah, this is great.
Yeah,
great.
And that's what this show is about, man. It's taking us through these places that we haven't been in a long time. Forgive me. Excuse me. To be able to just reminisce and to, you know, share with one another. Because it's like we didn't know each other back then, but we were all enjoying the same experiences. You know, it's like in our own way, in our own towns and whatnot, you know. Just that's one of the fun things about Comic-Con. When you go there, you know, like, see, I'm a frequent, you know, person that goes to Comic-Con annually. It's just that since the pandemic, I haven't gone the last 3 years, but that whole experience, and I'm not a geek that'll get dressed up to go.
No, we don't go that far.
No, but I enjoy the ones that I see there, and I've seen some tremendous costumes.
Yo,
I saw a guy decked out as Captain America. He had the shield that one of the special people at the convention, they made the shield, and they made like the swords, like for Conan and all of that. This guy was a metal worker, right?
Right.
And he had a version of Captain America's shield that he made that was signed, autographed by Chris Evans and everything.
Ooh.
And the guy who was dressed up as Cap had a shield that was the same shield, but he had purchased it from the guy who makes them. It had the leather strap on the inside. It looked like it was made out of vibranium. You know, and I was just looking at the cat. I was like, man, you spent some money on that costume, because he had, it looked like he was wearing the same outfit that Chris Evans wore on the set of the film. He was decked out and he looked just like him because he had the whole attire on and everything. Then I saw people dressed up as Jedi. They had the lightsabers and everything.
Yeah, that is dope.
Man.
There was a dude at the Comic-Con up here in New York, short guy. He looked just like Robert Downey Jr. in the face. Little Spanish dude. I took a pic. He was walking around with the Iron Man helmet. Said he paid $500 for it. And he actually put it on his head. But he looked, obviously he was way shorter than Robert Downey, but I gotta find it. I took a picture with him. I said, yo, you look, I ain't gotta ask who you are. He had the line up and stuff, but he had a Spanish accent though. But he looked just like Robert Downey Jr. It was creepy. I was like, yo, that's crazy. Then you had I took a picture with some stormtroopers. That was dope. And some guys they had a Jedi and Sith fight. That was dope. It was dope. I like watching it. I wouldn't go that far to dress up, but
there was a guy, he was about 6'7", and he had an Incredible Hulk. It was like a get up on.
Yeah.
Like the muscles and everything.
Yeah.
But he was big, you know, and he could move around in it. He could move his hands and fingers and stuff, and he was running around in there. He was kind of like Lou Ferrigno's Hulk from the TV show.
Yeah.
Well, then all of a sudden, walking up from a different direction was a dude that looked just like Hugh Jackman, Wolverine. So now you had Hulk and Wolverine right there. So everybody stood back and pulled out their cameras and started taking pictures of these guys. And it was like they were standing together, Wolverine and Hulk, you know, they was like, yelling at each other and stuff. It was so cool, man. It was like, man, you had to be there to see it, you know.
I gotta show you. There was a Thanos cosplay. And
we had one here too. Oh man.
I'm looking. Let me see if I could now you know what? This is literally from Marvel. You shouldn't play this. But it's on YouTube. It's a whole thing with an Infinity Gauntlet. When this guy gets into the suit, he's like, wait, here it is. Okay, this one is okay. I'm gonna share this one. This right here is amazing. Where's that? Let me get it. This right here is amazing. All right, look at that.
Yeah, I think I've seen this one before.
You seen that?
This guy walking down the street.
Yeah. That's the one.
Yeah.
That thing is like about almost 7 feet tall, man. And I saw another one where he's walking with a little girl dressed up like a young, what's her name?
Gamora.
Yeah. I want that.
Man, that is so badass.
Oh, man, that is badass. Look at that. I really want this. Oh, man, that's dope. I need that for Christmas. Oh, man. Yeah, that's badass. I like that.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. Really cool. Well, let's get ready to get out of here, man, because I know you got your show and give you some time to get you know, you don't have to be rushing yourself. But hey, this was great. I love this, man.
Yeah, man.
I love it, you know.
Yeah, we definitely gotta continue the conversation because there was more to cover with this. And you know, I would like to discuss how once it hit American shores, it was crazy. It was crazy that everything Japanese that came over here took off. They made a lot of money in entertaining us, man. I remember listening to Howard Stern. He said, man, we dropped an atomic bomb on their ass. Now they make cell phones for us. And they got us back because we done kicked out a lot of money towards them because they're in entertainment alone. Jeez, Louise, man. Those, but man, salute to you, man. This was a dope show. Whenever we come back to this, it's always fun. I like reminiscing, man. Everything we talk about. I love reminiscing, man.
And since you already know that we'll be, revisiting this one at some point, just gather together some material that, that you want to feature, because see, you're more familiar with the stuff that came later, because like I said, there was a cutoff point for me, but it was like really starting to kick into gear when you got into it. So that'll be great to have, more like the Voltrons and all of that stuff and whatever, the Sentai, all of that stuff, man. It's like we would never really run out of material. It was like talking about this stuff, man.
Nope. Not at all.
Because we haven't even done a feature on the kaiju yet. That's a whole different,
that's a whole nother thing right there.
Yeah. So, but I'm enjoying it, man, and we can keep the ball rolling. We always got something to do and talk about. So on here, and salute to everybody that's out there in the chat. Because as we do this show, a lot of times we're featuring the content and talking about it for you guys so much that we don't get a chance to acknowledge everybody's names or whatever, but we do try to read the super chats and everything, but we're not ignoring anybody. This is a pleasant experience for us all. Just know that, we're doing this for you guys, and want to enjoy it with you. So, but yeah, any final thoughts there, Drew?
See y'all next week. And I can't wait to do this again. We don't know exactly what we're doing next week, but if you're our age or close to our age, pack a lunch, because we're gonna reminisce on whatever it is we're talking about.
Yeah, and our shows are kind of spontaneous because we decided like a day or two before what we're gonna talk about. Oh, okay, we'll roll that, and then that's how we do it. So it's not like we sit up and we prepare all this stuff or whatever.
Yeah. It's from the heart, no script.
It's from the heart. Yep. So we enjoy it. But peace to everybody out there. Enjoy the rest of your week as we get going, and take the same energy over to Drew's channel, because he got the Painful Excellence podcast coming up about 25 minutes.
Yeah, about 25 minutes. Yeah.
All right. So we gone, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Let's see if we can hit out on our little. Let's see.